What makes a resilient community? Disasters may be out of our hands, but how we prepare, respond, and recover, we do have some say in. Resilience isn't just the realm of experts. It's grown through everyday members of the community. We're going to meet 6 people in disaster-impacted locations who each have something to teach us about becoming more resilient.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Nkuruma people of the Gamilaroi clan. Mindanao Dawu, welcome to my country.
It can be common after a disaster to feel overwhelmed and deeply distressed.
It just felt like a war scene. Smoke and fire and choppers coming out of nowhere, and just the loud noises and unfamiliar noises. It was just crazy. After that, I myself felt lonely, and I felt like nobody was there for me. So I looked inside myself to try to find something to build on that could keep me going.
As Alex and the community at Tingha discovered, one of the most helpful things you can do is to identify what you can control and focus your energy there.
We felt that we could only deal with what we can control ourselves. We thought we needed to get a place where we could just reconnect again as people. The Tingha Community Spirit Group was just that. I've got my music. My Odeon. I've developed and written an album, trying to get this album out at the moment. I'm also involved with a disability drama group in town, finding things that really make you put that love out there and that sharing out there, and you can get that back. You can control that, and that's wonderful. Learn to control yourself. Don't worry about the things around you. Small communities, don't give up, don't get disheartened. Get in, keep going, keep the ball rolling. You will succeed, you can succeed. Soon we'll feel the fullness of our healing, and all the pain like the dust in the wind will blow away.
Welcome to Manning Point, where Shane is a third-generation oyster farmer who knows the highs and lows of living in a disaster-prone area. Shane knows that one key to being resilient is to have a routine and stick to it.
Usually we're on the wharf here by 7 in the morning. We'll either be working on the wharf, culling, grading, sorting. We'll be out on the water, taking stock out, bringing it back in, general husbandry to the oysters. We'll finish at 4 in the afternoon. It's a routine. In the 21 flood, it was well above what we were expecting. We'd actually blown past the 1929 mark that my grandfather notched on one of the main posts here at the wharf. I'd lost 200 posts and I'd lost 400 hanging baskets. So for us, it can be devastating. The actual word resilience itself is quite a large spectrum. But I think a resilient community is a community that is able to work together to sort of soften it. Differences are put aside and everybody helps each other as best they can. With support, you can survive just about anything. No matter how prepared you are, you're not going to stop it. It's how prepared you are after the effect. Day-to-day routines in the community are important because they keep that structure. You're still preparing for it, but you're also setting that foundation, so it gives the community that little bit of reassurance. For now, all is well. It's another day as normal until it actually comes.
You don't need to be an oyster farmer to benefit from building and sticking to daily routines. Try keeping a routine around sleeping and waking times, healthy eating, and any regular appointments you may have. Even if you keep your routine going, after a disaster, you might stop doing things you once enjoyed. It can be helpful to ask yourself, what am I not doing that I used to? Janine from Old Bar has a story about this.
When the bushfires came through, I started working full-time. I was helping people who've been profoundly impacted by the bushfires. I'd come home after work and I'd be looking at all the burnout hills around me and I wouldn't switch off. I'd keep thinking about the people I'd met at work and how they had been affected and what else I could do to help them. I realised I stopped actually having downtime, a time where I was just thinking about the nice things I could do for myself. I had to make a really conscious decision that when I left work, I had to mentally shut the gate on it and go, I'm going to think about what I can do this weekend that's going to be nice. One of the things I discovered that I had stopped doing was actually going for a bushwalk each weekend. It was just me looking at what was going on around me, not thinking about anything in particular, listening to the birds, looking at what might have been flowering or growing since I was last through there. That was something I stopped doing that was actually really important to me, to still find pleasure in the world and value that this was something I enjoyed and I could do for myself. No one else could give that to me.
So during recovery, it's important to keep doing the things you enjoy and separating work from necessary downtime. Switching off from technology can also be helpful. Resilience is not a solo exercise though. One of the biggest factors that can help us navigate tough times is our social connections and support networks. It's important to connect with others and get help when you need it. This can be hard in communities that are isolated though. That's why Angus from Walker took steps to build connection.
There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do in drought is wait for it to finish. It just hit everyone hard. People lost everything. And it did lead to some people taking their lives, which was devastating for the community. I had to do something. Driving through Warialda, I saw this blue tree on the side of the road and I asked my mum, hey, what's that? We spent the next 2 hours talking about what it means. It's a constant reminder of what mental health is and what it does and the need to have those conversations. I thought every town should have one. So I met with people that I needed to help me do the thing, and then we did the thing. wouldn't have been as effective if I just went out there and painted a tree by myself. So we got as many people as we could involved. I teamed up with Relationships Australia and several community clubs. It sparked those conversations. Walker is a regional town. Everyone knows everyone. It's very hard for me to go down the street and not to have a chat to someone. Having a circle of connection is vital. You'll have those relationships long after the disaster. Have a chat to someone that you maybe haven't in a while. Make yourself available to go and have a cup of tea. I hope that seeing a blue tree can spark those conversations.
Spending time with loved ones, checking in with neighbours, connecting with the community and accessing support when you need it can all make a huge difference. In the wake of a disaster, we may want to move forward as quickly as we can, but this can lead to rushing decisions or overcommitting ourselves. And a fast recovery is not the same as a good recovery. Helen from Burrell Creek draws on her community's experience to remind us, take your time, don't rush the recovery.
It was hectic. The RFS volunteers were doing 12-hour shifts. They were just exhausted. And just the constant smoke. Is the fire going to come or is it not going to come? Rural communities, because they live with death and disaster all the time, people just kind of pick themselves up and carry on. Because the community as a whole picks itself up and carries on, then people who are feeling maybe a little bit more unsure follow the lead of what everybody else is doing. After the bushfires, we've actually done a lot of sitting back, finding out where we are and being comfortable with where we are before we launch ourselves into the next thing. We've run a number of workshops around preparedness to encourage people to create their bushfire survival plan. The other part of the project was our online property survey.
Hey, how are you going?
The pace of the project has actually reflected what the community were able to cope with at the time. So we've been very careful to bring the community along with us as we go. We've done things incrementally and then eased into things slowly. As a community, you can achieve incredible things. It doesn't need to be hard, it doesn't need to be complex. It's all about simple things. Just knowing where you could go slowly.
Recovery takes time. Don't rush decisions. Remember that emotions are normal and take breaks as you need to. After a disaster, you may find yourself replaying the past and getting caught in negative thought cycles. It's so important to keep looking after yourself by doing things that bring you enjoyment now and give hope for the future. Tanya from the Narara Eco Village reminds us, look after yourself by managing the stress.
What could the future look like? So we see the regeneration of the land. We see the buildings come up. We've created something that we're looking forward to. We've certainly been disaster impacted. We've had floods and difficulty getting in and out of the property, and the bushfires in 2019-2020. So there's had to be an adaptation to how do we connect as community, our communications for that, and envisage possibilities. Self-awareness, I think, is important. It's about mindfulness. What do I need right now so I can revitalise myself? For me, that's water. Simple. on my face, on my body, or in water. Just being in nature, observant and exploring. It's very easy to be stuck in the problem when the news that we get globally is just so awful. Looking at what are the solutions, I have personally found very helpful. Looking at what the future might hold, the possibilities right now, that enables us to be more prepared and gives hope for the future.
Wherever you live and whatever challenges your community faces, the 6 tips we've looked at are keys to building resilience. So remember, identify what you can control. Have a routine and stick to it. Ask yourself, what am I not doing that I used to? Connect with others and get help when you need it. Take your time. Don't rush the recovery. Look after yourself by managing the stress. We can't stop disasters from happening. We can choose how we will face whatever comes our way.